The diner was almost empty that rainy evening, save for the steady hum of the coffee machine and the faint patter of rain against the fogged-up windows. Amelia moved quickly from table to table, her apron tied tightly around her waist, her shoes squeaking softly on the old tiled floor. She was tired, so tired, but she didn't let it show. Life hadn't given her much, but she carried herself with grace. Every smile she gave her customers was genuine, even if her own heart carried years of heaviness. For Amelia, this little diner was her second home. She had worked here ever since her dreams of finishing college crumbled beneath the weight of family responsibilities. Now, she lived in a small rented room and scraped together every dollar to survive. She told herself that someday, somehow, things would get better, but some nights, hope felt like a distant star she could no longer see. That evening, as she refilled the sugar jars, she noticed a man walk in with a little girl. He didn't look like the usual diner crowd. His presence immediately stood out. His suit was immaculate, his shoes polished, and his watch probably worth more than Amelia earned in a year. He carried himself with authority, but there was something else, something hidden in his eyes. Tiredness, loneliness. The little girl clutched his hand tightly, her big brown eyes wide with curiosity. Her hair was neatly tied in braids, but her face carried a quiet sadness, as though she had learned too young what it meant to feel alone. They sat at a corner booth. The man opened a laptop almost immediately, his attention fixed on the glowing screen while the little girl fidgeted with the silverware. Amelia walked over with her usual gentle smile. "Good evening," she said warmly. "What can I get for you?" The man didn't even look up, muttering, "Coffee. Black." But the little girl lifted her head. Her voice was small but filled with yearning. "Can I have pancakes, please?" Amelia crouched slightly to meet the child's eyes. "Of course, sweetheart. Pancakes coming right up." The little girl smiled for the first time that night, and Amelia's heart melted. As she turned away, she couldn't help but overhear the girl's soft words. "Daddy, will you eat with me this time?" The man froze, his hands hovering over the keyboard. He sighed heavily but didn't answer. Amelia's chest tightened. She had seen that look before, the look of someone who was there physically but absent where it mattered most. When Amelia returned with their food, she placed the pancakes in front of the girl with a little flourish. "Extra syrup," she whispered playfully, and the girl giggled. It was a sound so pure that even the father glanced up for a moment. As the meal went on, Amelia noticed the girl's gaze kept drifting toward her. Finally, when Amelia came by to check on them, the little girl reached out and tugged gently on her apron. Her eyes were glistening. Can you be my mommy?" she asked softly. The words cut through the air like a thunderclap. Amelia froze, stunned. The diner went silent, though in truth only a few customers sat scattered in the dim light. The man's head snapped up, his eyes wide, his entire body going rigid. "Emily," he hissed, his voice tight. But the little girl's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, you're always busy. You never talk to me. Mommy's gone, and I just want someone to care." She looked at Amelia, her voice trembling. "You're kind. You smiled at me. Please, can you?" Amelia's throat tightened, tears threatening to spill. She knelt down beside the booth, gently brushing a strand of hair from the girl's cheek. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I may not be your mommy, but I think any mommy would be so lucky to have a little girl as wonderful as you." The father sat frozen, guilt flashing across his face. For years, he had buried himself in work, in building his empire, thinking money would be enough to provide for his daughter. But in that moment, he realized what she truly needed wasn't wealth or status, it was love. Amelia excused herself, retreating to the counter to compose herself, her hands shaking. She had her own scars, her own empty spaces where love had once been. She understood that little girl's longing all too well. Moments later, the father stood and walked over to her. For the first time that night, he truly looked at her. Not just as a waitress, but as a person. I'm sorry you had to hear that," he said quietly, his voice heavy with shame. Amelia shook her head. "Don't apologize. She just wants you. Not the CEO. Not the provider. Just her dad." His eyes filled with unshed tears. "I don't know how to do this. Her mother passed away 3 years ago. Since then, I've thrown myself into work because it's the only way I know how to cope. But I didn't see how much I was losing her." Amelia placed a gentle hand on his arm. "It's not too late. You're here now. Be present. That's what she needs." That night changed everything. The man, Daniel, closed his laptop and, for the first time in years, ate pancakes with his daughter. Amelia watched from behind the counter as laughter slowly replaced the silence at their table. From that evening on, Daniel and Emily returned to the diner often. Not for the food, but for Amelia. Emily would run into her arms, calling her Miss Amelia, and Daniel would watch with gratitude, realizing this woman was teaching him how to be the father his daughter needed. As weeks turned into months, something grew between them. Not a romance built on wealth or status, but on kindness, on shared pain, and on healing. Daniel, the lonely CEO who thought success would shield him from heartbreak, found his greatest treasure not in his empire but in the love of a child and the warmth of a woman who had nothing yet gave everything. And Amelia, the waitress who thought life had forgotten her, discovered that sometimes, love finds you in the most unexpected places, when a little girl with tear-filled eyes whispers the most powerful words, "Can you be my mommy?"